It was early in the morning when the knocking came. 3 sharp raps against the wood, steady and patient. Daniel sat up in bed, his mouth dry, his head heavy from another sleepless night. He didn't need to ask who was at the door. He had been expecting him. He moved slowly through the apartment, bare feet dragging across cold floorboards. When he opened the door, no one stood there, and yet the hallway felt crowded, as though a presence had been waiting all night for this moment. "Hello, Satan," he whispered, his voice breaking in the quiet. "I believe it's time to go." From the emptiness, a low voice slid into the room like smoke. "You've been ready for a long time, Daniel. I've only been waiting for you to admit it." The devil never appeared as horns and fire. For Daniel, it looked like himself in the reflection of the kitchen window, eyes hollow, shoulders slumped, soul worn thin. It had always been this way. The devil wasn't a stranger. It was the darkness stitched into him. They sat together at the kitchen table as the light of dawn crept across the linoleum. Daniel wrapped his hands around his chipped coffee mug. The devil didn't need a cup. It simply leaned close, silent, breathing against his neck. "Me and the devil," Daniel muttered, walking side by side. "Side by side?" The voice rasped. "No, Daniel. I walk inside. You carry me. Every step you take, I take with you. Every word you regret, I already knew." The truth of it stung. For years, his life had followed this shadow. Every choice, every mistake. Every night he thought he could drown the whisper in another drink or another meaningless distraction. The devil had been there, one step behind. It had started with grief. His mother had died when he was just a boy. His father, unable to handle the silence of the house, turned to the bottle. And from that moment on, Daniel had carried two weights: his father's absence and his father's curse. "You're just like him," a girlfriend once spat at him in an argument. "You've got that same evil spirit." The words hit harder than her leaving, because deep down, he believed them. That morning, staring across the table at the devil's invisible grin, Daniel thought of his end. He imagined being buried down by the side of the highway, nothing but gravel and weeds for a gravestone. He saw cars rushing past, headlights like fleeting ghosts, and he saw his own spirit, restless and wild, climbing aboard a Greyhound bus that never stopped, traveling endlessly with no home, no peace. He almost accepted it, that this was his fate. But then something shifted. For the first time in years, Daniel felt a spark of defiance. Maybe it was the exhaustion of surrendering for so long. Maybe it was the thin line of sunlight cutting through the blinds, laying across his table like an invitation. He set his mug down and spoke aloud. "If you're going to walk with me, devil, then you'll follow where I choose to go, not the other way around." There was a pause, then a whisper so close it could have been his own thought. "We'll see. Lead me, Daniel. But know this, I've never lost a step." The devil tilted its head, amused. It didn't argue. It never did. That day, Daniel did something he hadn't done in years. He walked outside without headphones in, without trying to drown out the silence. He let the world's noise in, the chatter of strangers, the squeak of a bus braking, the sound of birds tangled with the distant hum of engines. The devil walked beside him, quiet, patient. But Daniel felt lighter, not because his demons were gone, but because he had stopped pretending they weren't there. He understood now. The devil wasn't something to outrun. It was something to live with and to walk ahead of. For once, the shadow didn't drag him. He was leading the way. And though the road was long, though the highway stretched without end, Daniel smiled faintly, because even with the devil's whisper curling around his ear for the first time, he didn't sound afraid.